Hey guys, we're doing a bit of a rapid fire of the AI race, and we are starting with the newest contender, DeepSeek 4, that came out today. And with two models, the DeepSeek V4 Pro and the Flash version. But the Flash version is not something that should confuse you. I guess a common model to compare it to would be the Gemini Free Flash, and it's better than that for less than 30% of the price. While the Pro is positioned as a straight-up SOTA against Claude, Opus 4.6, Max, GPT 5.4 extra high, and again the Gemini 3.1 Pro high. So in this list, top 6 at least. And they're also claiming that their old model, DeepSeek 3.2, let's say like 50 here, and the token efficiency of these new models is, instead of like 50, it's gonna be like less than less than 10 of it's 10 times more efficient. That's a better way to say it. And the Flash is apparently even more efficient. While it's actually, if you even check the input price of it, then it's 0.028. Actually, they dropped the price. I pretty much never see this. Companies doing that they release a better model and they also drop the price of it. But that was actually the cash hit. So, but the DeepSeek models, assuming that you're using it for coding, possibly, or writing, then you're going to be hitting the cache quite a bit. So you might be hitting it like 90% of the time. So the cache hit value is very relevant. And we can see in this case, the cache hit is like 1/5 of the input. But that is not the case for the DeepSeek V4 Pro. It's less than 1/10 of the price of the input. So this means that if you're using it for something that caches heavily, like let's say coding, my experience is like it could be like 99% input, and a lot of it is just cache hit. So 99% input and 90% of that is going to be cache hit. Well, most models out there tend to keep this ratio of like the cache is like 0.2 here. This is the cleanest example, while the input price is 1. And here we can see 82% cache hit. So that's not as good as like 90%, but still, it's pretty dang high. So the point I'm arguing here that while the input price here is kind of high, I would say. It's kind of on the higher end, no doubt. But as long as you are doing a workflow that is highly cached, then it's going to be possibly cheaper than, it's going to be the cheapest in tier. And the good news is that, as far as I know, this is the best free chat out there, right? Since they updated it to the DeepSeek 4 version. And as much as I used it, I think it's infinite. So, or at least it's very generous. Possibly the only con is that they don't have a sub. So you would need to use them via the API. But if you're just using the API anyway, if you're using any kind of AI model via the API, then arguably DeepSeek should be your primary consideration. As long as you care about like higher quality, there are cheaper options out there. And Kimi K2.6 also came out. It's also a tier 1 performance-wise. And these two are also open source. So while you probably cannot run them locally, it's good to see them out there. So we can see that the DeepSeek V4 Pro and Kimi K2.6 are up there. And this will make it very tempting for other providers to come in and just bring down the price. If local was more your speed, then Kuven 3.6 27B, somewhat quantized, probably would be your choice. And it's really great to see that open source and affordable AI is kept reality. And Kimi also allows you to use their flagship model in their chat. The only other provider in the tier 1 that actually allows that is Google. You can use their Gemini 3.1 Pro in their casual chat or their AI studio. But this is not the case for Claude and the GPTs. But keep in mind that the message limit is 10 per day, so it's more of a teaser than a very useful tool. Albeit I'm not super sold on the Kimi plans. I'm not sure if this is a good deal or not, because I cannot tell. I mean, presumably the $40 plan gives you like 100 credits per month to use. So I'm not sure, because we haven't given much to work with here. An option I was using was Kimi K2.6 in open code Go. It costs like $10 per month. And currently it gives you free X Dakota on Kimi. So my take would be that Gemini 3.1, well, it's kind of smart. It's not very agentic. So I think that is out. I would definitely use Kimi K2.6 over it. I can't really comment on this GPT 5.5 that just came out, and we're gonna talk about it. Cloud Opus is just too expensive to be relevant. And GPT 5.5, I guess if we're here, then we might as well just bring it up. It is also too expensive to be relevant. And keep in mind, they are like claiming efficiency here, but others are getting more efficient too. So good question. And I can't much tell the difference between GPT 5.4 and Kimi K2.6. But let's even say that the GPT 5.4 is a little better. Still, you can use a lot more Kimi. So especially because that this review site, Artificial Analysis, and other reviews, if you look at the cost, it costs them to actually run these benchmarks, we can see that the clouds are kind of inflated. I would argue that they're inflated, and this is not just the price, right? We see the GPT 5.4 mini here, which is just dominated, but it costs so much to run it because it's spending so much time to think. But when you're actually using it, it does not take as much time to think. Ergo, you're getting worse results. So the ChatGPT and the cloud scores, not really representative of what you're gonna get when you're using it live. So it's possible that Kimi is actually the best here, or you cannot tell the difference. And it's certainly true if you're not using the highest setting for ChatGPT and Claude. So I suppose it's a good time to actually pivot to GPT 5.5. And the unceremonious way to say it is that they made it like at most 5% better, but they also doubled the price, made the fast even more expensive, but also apparently made it more token efficient. Albeit, they are not claiming nearly as much token efficiency as the Chinese models. And they even have a pro model that's 30 per 1 million input and 180 per 1 million output. Now, my opinion on this, that very cool. So we have something that's better than anything before. That's amazing. But also, this is pretty much useless, unless it's unlocking something that you couldn't do before. For any value consideration, they're just irrelevant. So OpenAI tries to be the one in the race that always has the best model. I guess that is their strategy, but their overall lineup is pointless. And Claude had maybe relevant models in the market, especially early, but I think for a long time, they were just weak and pointless. But I will make the argument again that the better the models get, the less the model quality actually matters, because it's already good, right? You just need value. And that is why I was using the Minimax 2.7 actually the most, at least the last month. Now, I use kind of two models, so I could have like a Smarty model that kind of plans and a doer model that just does it, right? Not to say that the Minimax model is not good for planning. It is. But sometimes I felt like I needed a better plan. But the more I was using Kimi K2.6 lately, and I have to say that doing this kind of a delayed review of Kimi actually allows me to say more about it, because how it's usually done, and that is the most incentivized way to do it, is that you just rush out something the very hour the model comes out. But I've actually used Kimi for many days now, and I'm pretty happy with it. To the point, my main question would become, is that how do I get more Kimi? Even though I don't technically need it, because I was using the Minimax 2.7 alongside it, and it was perfectly capable at doing the job, at carrying out the plan. So it's gonna get to the point, and arguably got to the point for in many regards, is that it just does the same job, slower, for a higher price. Mimo also came out with a 2.5 Pro, which would be an exciting model, except for the fact that it's somewhat on the level of Kimi. I guess you can say Opus 4.6 Max. That's pretty impressive. That used to be a great model. But regardless, it's kind of lagging Kimi a bit, but that doesn't matter. What really matters is that it doesn't have a vision capability, and their token plan is pretty weak. So you're not going to get a lot from this. So this seems more like a prepaid payee rather than a sub thing. And unfortunately, they are not even open source. So there is little redemption to be had. Possibly they gotta go open source later. That is what they claimed. And I would love to see them competitive in the market. They're so close. They're so close. Their best play, if they can, is to make some kind of a Minimax-like deal before Minimax gets out their new version and try to capture just a ton of customers. But they are far from alone from with their stupidity, because Muse Spark came out. It's like 2-ish weeks ago. And it's like Facebook's idea of like a GLM 5.1, but they didn't do anything with it. It just serves as like a limited free chat. So, okay. Then we have Kuven 3.6 Max, which, as far as I know, doesn't have a plan. It just exists as a much more expensive version of the Kuven a 3.6 plus, while Zai, unfortunately, is just jacking the price and kind of chasing away the customers by dropping the quota. They jacked the price 5x since the start of the year, and also they dropped the quota at least 2/3, and they also canceled the renewal of legacy plans. So if open code Go limits are anything to go by, then they actually have the least appealing offerings, just efficiency wise. And now, during the video, we actually see that the DeepSeek quotas came out, I guess. These are estimated of how much would you actually pay. So these seem less... Okay, we don't have any extra information, but or do we? Yes. Yeah, 700 input. Okay, this is just kind of estimated of how would you use it. And as long as you're happy with like a Gemini 3 Flash level of performance, I guess the DeepSeek 4 Flash would be a great replacement. But otherwise, we see that the DeepSeek 4 Pro and the Kimi K2.6 and I guess even the Mimo V2.5 Pro and I guess the GLMs, but the GLM 5.1 would be the least compelling among these. These kind of have similar quotas and they kind of like competing with each other. My opinion would be that the Kimi K2.6 probably would be the most compelling, along with the DeepSeek V4 Pro. I would say the main thing that's holding back the DeepSeek 4 and basically anything in this tier from being relevant is the Minimax deal. So you can get the Plus for like $20, and for that price, you get like 200,000 requests. It's actually 45,000 per week. So I think it's a bit less about which one is maybe like a 2% better, 1% better, and more about which one is more well-rounded. And if I picked a winner, it would be the Kimi K2.6. And here we see it's even beating the Opuses and well, I guess the Gemini 3 Flash and the new Spark is ahead, but they're also weaker models. So, and then we have Gemini 3.1, which doesn't have the agenticness, but arguably the Gemini 3.1 Pro and the GPT 5.5 are the only ones ahead of it. But for work, arguably the GPT 5.5 is its main contender. So, while Kimi K2.6 is amazing at it, the GLMs can't really do it. There's the GLM 4.6 division thing, which might serve as a backup for it, but it clearly sucks. And then we have the Mimo V2 Omni. I can't really say I have much experience with this at all, but this is the model that the 2.5, I guess, might use just to try to understand the pictures. And unfortunately, the new DeepSeek 4 still cannot do pictures. So yeah, it might be the smartest guy, possibly smarter than Kimi K2.6, but it cannot be your only guy. So my take, the best options are either Minimax M2.7. So this is a great way just to get a lot of views. Kuvam would be a decent alternative if you're willing to sacrifice just sheer amount of requests for something that's actually a very capable vision model. You can get it from Alibaba Cloud, but it's not as good of a deal as Minimax. But otherwise, at least the choice I'm leaning toward, at least for planning, but arguably if you can just use it for everything, that would be the best, is the new Kimi K2.6. And there are no promo codes here. There is a yearly bonus, I guess, if you're willing to go annual, but that might not be the best thing for the AI race because the situation is always evolving, and I'm not sure exactly how much you're getting. I used the Moderato, and it was kind of enough for like one project for like 2 days. So that's not great. And that was the Kimi K2.5. So you're probably not getting that much. So you realistically need to buy the second or third option here, either 40 or 100, which is certainly a better deal than the Repoff Trio at the top. I just kind of wish they were clear about what they're selling. Like we have the Minimax page here. So we see that 4,500 per 5 hours, and the weekly set at 10x the 5-hour quota. So, okay. So you know exactly what you're getting here. This is an easy choice. Now, this might not be a good deal. In this case, it's very much so. But here I have no information, other than the fact that I can very easily figure out that I need to get the 440 plan at least to not get totally screwed over. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But assume we took them at face value here. And this means that Kimi code available, and this is Kimi code 5x credits. So if you're getting 20 credits here, right? Then this is like 100 credits. So you're getting like a 2.5x multiplier on it. And this would be like a 3x multiplier on it. While Open Code Go is a 6x multiplier. Alibaba is like 6x plus 2. And then you have Minimax, which is like 20 plus X. So at least how it looks like, they're kind of setting themselves up to be a weaker choice. But again, we just don't know. And by the end, I checked again, and DeepSeek 4 data is in. And what we see is that it's more on the level of the GLM 5.1 and I guess the Kuben 3.6 Max and the Muse. And interestingly, the top contenders would be the Kimi K2.6 and the Mimo V2.5 Pro. Interesting. So it mostly comes down to whether you need vision and which one is cheaper. But not like I'm bamboozled by a few points. And the winner basically depends on the week. So getting a yearly plan is optimistic, to say the least. I have a lot of faith in the Kuben models. They also have vision. So and then you have the Minimax plans that are a pretty good value and pretty much what you would expect from a provider that only just pushes their own model. And otherwise, there's really not much to say about the top end, really, because I guess if you just want the best on paper at any price, then the GPT 5.5 would be the one, right? And OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google all made their deals worse, kind of dropped their quotas. Some even kind of butchered their thinking tokens. Anthropic even removed Claude Code from the Pro, which doesn't matter much because you could like prompt like 2 times per 5 hours. And they are extremely committed to high prices. Like, look at this. Claude 4 Opus, right? We can check this out. Now we have the 4.7, but the 4 Opus, 15 in and 75 out, right? 2025 mark, not that long ago. And now the prices, I guess even somewhat before, are closer to like 1 for the top end. This is the same thing for both Mimo and Kimi K2.6. And also for like, I would still call this A tier, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just showing you the points. So this is like 0.3 in. And the new contender here, the DeepSeek 4 Flash, is actually 0.14. So that's really good. And arguably, this is the best model to use via an API just to serve the customers, unless something cheaper works just as well. But basically, this DeepSeek 4 Flash is kind of eliminating everything here, right? Yeah, that's pointless. There's nothing here that would be okay value. And of course, these are worse too. I certainly wouldn't imagine a reality where the open source models are not bringing down the price, because that would look bloody.